Welcome to Form 4 Geography. In Form 3, we discussed the external land forming processes. In this series, we shall be discussing human and economic geography. This involves the human activities on the Earth's surface as a result of the exploitation of and processing of the available resources. These are land reclamation and rehabilitation, wildlife and tourism, energy, industry, transport and communication, trade, population and settlement. Land reclamation and rehabilitation. Land reclamation is the process by which wasteland, such as a desert, is converted into useful land fit for cultivation and other economic activities. Land rehabilitation is a process of restoring land to its former productive state. By the end of the topic, you should be able to identify different methods of reclamation and describe the methods of land reclamation. There are several ways of land reclamation, some of which include irrigation, drainage of swamps, control of tsetse flies, planting of drought-resistant crops, and afforestation. Irrigation is the artificial supply of water to plants to enhance their growth. It is thus practiced in areas where there is little rainfall. There are various methods of irrigating land. They include water lifting methods, flood irrigation, sprinkler or overhead irrigation, canal irrigation, trickle irrigation, and drip irrigation. Water lifting methods. The water is scooped from water source like a canal or a well by buckets and splashed onto the crops. This method is used on a small scale such as in kitchen gardens or to water crops that are grown adjacent to water sources. Flood irrigation. It is also called basin irrigation. Basin irrigation heavily depends on the annual flooding of a river. During floods, the flood waters are allowed to move into ditches and spread out over the floodplains through force of gravity. In Kenya, it is used in Mwea irrigation scheme and Ahero irrigation scheme and Lower Nyakach. Sprinkler or overhead irrigation. This is where water from a central water supply line through a pipeline under pressure is supplied to the plants from above. Canal irrigation. Canal irrigation is where canals are dug, furrows are cut to lead water from the rivers and storage reservoirs into the farms. In Kenya, this method is practiced in Mwea irrigation scheme. Trickle irrigation. This is where water is supplied to individual plants through well-laid plastic pipes with holes at specific intervals through which water trickles to the base of the plants. Drip irrigation. In drip irrigation, bottles filled with water are inverted into the roots of plants. The plant slowly saps the water from the bottles. This method is commonly used in low rainfall areas to grow trees, fruits, and flowers. Drainage of swamps. This is a method of reclaiming land by removing excess water from an area that is waterlogged. This can be done by constructing ditches, canals, and dikes. Control of tsetse flies. Tsetse flies is an insect similar to a housefly. It is a carrier of sleeping sickness in human beings and nagana or trypanosomiasis in cattle, which may both be fatal. The fly has caused large stretches of fertile land to be abandoned. The control measures applied include bush clearing, insecticide application, sterilization, and traps. Afforestation. This is the process of planting trees in an area where there have never been trees. Forests help to improve the productivity of the land in the following ways: protecting the soil by controlling soil erosion that is caused by running water and wind, protecting water catchment areas, and improving the climatic and physical environment. Planting of drought-resistant crops. Drought-resistant crops consist of plants that require little moisture to grow and are able to withstand conditions of prolonged high temperatures. These crops are therefore grown in marginal lands of Kenya, which experience semi-arid conditions but have a high potential for agriculture. They include areas like Kitui, Machakos, Tharaka, Kilifi, and Taita Taveta, to mention but a few. Various methods are used to restore the affected portion of land into their former productive states. The methods include afforestation and reforestation, bush fallowing, planting grass strips and cover crops, mulching, banding, and manuring. Let us now discuss each of these methods. Afforestation and reforestation. Afforestation is the practice of planting forest or trees in areas where none existed. Reforestation is when the trees are replaced after being cut. Trees play an important role in the conservation of soil and water in the environment. Bush fallowing. Bush fallowing involves cultivating a field for a period of 2 to 3 years, after which it is left fallow, while the farmer moves on to another piece of land. During the fallow period, the soil is able to recover its fertility. It is practiced in areas that are not densely populated, like Voi and Mariakani. Planting grass strips and cover crops. Grass strips or cover crops spread on the ground to cover it. Therefore, the land is protected from erosion and more water percolates through the soil. Mulching takes place when vegetable remains, plant litter, and dry grass or polythene sheets are used to cover the soil. The mulch helps in retention of moisture to reduce evaporation, reduce soil erosion, especially splash erosion, increase water infiltration in the soil, and soil nutrient and organic matter are obtained as the mulch decompose. Bands. These are ridges of soil piled across a slope on which plants can be grown. They help to check surface runoff and increase infiltration. Manuring. Manuring is done through constant application of animals or vegetation manure and chemical fertilizers which improve the fertility of the soil directly. There are many irrigation schemes in Kenya growing a variety of crops as shown by the map below. Mwea Irrigation Scheme is located in Kirinyaga County at the foothills of Mount Kenya. The map below shows the extent of the scheme. Mwea Irrigation Scheme. The factors that favor the location of the scheme include the following: physical factors like gentle slope, presence of rivers Dhiba and Nyamidi, low rainfall, extensive land, and human factors. Physical factors: the presence of black cotton soils, which is suitable for rice cultivation due to high water retention capacity. The gently sloping land allows the water to flow to the field by gravity. This undulating land also allows for mechanization. Human factors. The area was inhabitable due to its semi-arid conditions. There was no displacement of people. The colonial government needed a project to occupy the political detainees during the state of emergency in 1952. The availability of labor by the former detainees and from the surrounding areas with high population. Large market for the rice available from the nearby urban centers like Embu, Nyeri, Kerugoya, and Nairobi. Significance of Mwea Irrigation Scheme. It saves the country's foreign exchange as it produces 80% of the country's rice. The scheme has provided settlement for many people. In reference to 2009 census records, annual floods have been collected in the area by the reservoirs created for irrigation. There is enhanced food security, alleviation of poverty among the people, since the people are engaged in cultivation and selling of rice. The scheme has led to the effective use of land which was originally barren. The farmers are also growing other crops like peas, tomatoes, beans, and maize. Problems associated with the scheme. Despite these benefits, some problems have been experienced in the scheme. They include the following: physical problems. Stagnant water in the scheme encourages the breeding of snails and mosquitoes, which cause diseases like bilharzias and malaria respectively. Siltation and the growing of weeds in the canals interfere with the flow of water into the fields. Diseases such as caseworm, stalk-eyed fly, and leaf miner attack the crop, lowering the yields. Pests such as quillia birds, which move in large flocks, feed on the rice grain, leading to a major loss of crops. Possible solutions. The following are possible solutions to the physical problems mentioned. To spray the stagnant water with insecticides to reduce the breeding rate of the snails and mosquitoes. Weeds can be controlled by herbicides sprayed on them. Dredging is done to remove the silt from the canals. Use of certified seeds which are free from pests and diseases. There is Quelea control unit which monitor the movement of the birds in order to control them. Various methods such as poisoning and use of explosives for scaring the birds are applied. Human problems. The following are the human problems that are facing Mwea irrigation scheme. Unplanned irrigation expansion has led to increased demand for irrigation water, which the three rivers cannot sustain. Some water has also been diverted to horticultural farming. Shortage of labor experienced during the planting and harvesting season. Solutions of the named problems. The problem of unplanned irrigation expansion is being solved by building more reservoirs. Farmers are being trained to participate in managing the irrigation water through Water Users Association. Improve on the marketing in order to get better prices to enable them to hire labor. To have the National Cereals and Produce Board to market rice on behalf of the farmers for prompt payment. To depoliticize the cooperative societies and empower them to supply inputs and extend credit facilities to the farmers. The government should provide the scheme with enough extension officers in order to enhance the quality of the crop. The government should look into ways of expanding the scheme. The local people should also be encouraged to use population control methods. The National Cereals and Produce Board should help farmers in marketing their crop, while the National Irrigation Board provides them with high-quality seeds. The farmers should deliver their rice to Mwea rice stores, from where they will fetch better prices. Research by National Irrigation Board to develop high-quality seeds in order to ensure the basmati variety has its characteristics aroma. The National Cereals and Produce Board will ensure the supply of quality rice which is not blended with other poor quality rice. Delayed payment killed the morale of the farmers, which led to the farmers pulling out of the government-run National Irrigation Board and started selling their rice individually. The cooperation societies, which replaced the National Irrigation Board, failed to supply inputs and credit to the farmers. This led to practice of leasing out all or part of their farms. Shortage of extension officers makes it difficult for the farmers to get technical advice. The scheme has been overpopulated. This has created pressure on the existing facilities, including water for irrigation. Political interference has alienated the management with the farmers. This has created land ownership conflict. The liberalized marketing of rice led to farmers storing rice at their inappropriate conditions in their homes instead of the central stores. These farmers are eventually exploited by middlemen. The recycling of seeds has lowered the quality of rice produced. For example, the current basmati rice lacks the original aroma. The Netherlands, also called Holland, is one of the Western European countries. Most of the coastal land in the country has been reclaimed from the sea. The following were used in the reclamation of the land from the sea in the Netherlands. Stage 1. Construction of protective dikes or walls to enclose the part of the sea to be reclaimed and protect the area from getting flooded during the high tides. The ring canals were constructed to carry water from the area to be reclaimed into the sea. Pumping stations were installed to pump out water from the sea enclosed by the dike. Water is pumped out of the area enclosed by the dike. Reeds were sown to prevent weed from growing. They were also meant to use up the excess water and reduce salinity. Drainage ditches were cut in the land and drainage pipes laid. More pumping stations were put up on the land being reclaimed. These were used to drain water from the water table. The area was divided into rectangular portions using inner dikes and ring canals. The soils were treated with chemicals to lower the salinity. The drained land was flushed with fresh water to remove salt from the soil. Pumping out of the water from the polders was a continuous process. This was to prevent the water from accumulating in the reclaimed land. 90% of the land is used for agriculture, while the rest is used for recreation, residential, public amenities, and industries. By the end of the session, you should be able to compare methods of land reclamation in Kenya and Netherlands. Two projects that were successful in reclaiming land from the sea in the Netherlands are the Zuiderzee to the north and Deltaplan in the southwestern region. We now look at the benefits of the Zuiderzee project. The following are some of the benefits of the Zuider project. A large water, Lake Isel, was created that supplied water to the surrounding area for domestic, industrial, and irrigation. Controlled floods in the area through the canals, ditches, and pumping stations. Land reclaimed has increased arable land for crop cultivation and dairy farming. The road distance between north and south has been shortened. Soil salinity in the soil has been reduced because of the fresh water from the lake. This has led to an increase in crop and livestock production. The following are the additional benefits of Deltaplan region. The salination of inland fresh water was controlled by damming the inlets. The formerly isolated islands of Zeeland were connected to the mainland. Recreation facilities and tourist attractions increased in the area. Land reclamation in Kenya and Netherlands can be compared in the following ways. In Kenya, it is done on a small scale, while in the Netherlands, it is done on a large scale. In Kenya, it is both on dry and swampy land, while in the Netherlands, it is from land flooding by seawater. The methods of land reclamation in Kenya includes draining of swamps by digging ditches, channels, and diversion canals, irrigating arid and semi-arid areas, clearing of jungles and bushes, and afforestation, while in the Netherlands, the methods involved construction of dikes, ring canals, drainage ditches, and planting reeds after pumping seawater from the land.